It's going. That's how I feel. Well, we are going to kick off today with our campus and community spotlights. We're going to do some shout outs. And then we have two colleges here today. It's going to be the College of Letters and Science. So they're going to talk about everything from humanities to some of our natural sciences. And then we're also going to have folks from Education, Health, and Human Development. And that's also kind of a two-part presentation. And so we're going to have someone here from education as well as someone here from health and human development. For campus and community spotlights, if anyone is a senior, the application for graduation is open. You need to apply through your My Info. The deadline is March 1st. If you want to graduate, get that in. I'm looking at Emma because she works in the registrar's office, so she's probably like all about this right now. But make sure that you go to this website if you have any questions, get it in by March 1st. We have another music pop-up that is taking place in the atrium of Norm upstairs. This week it's a trombone music pop-up, which will be really cool. So it's happening from 12:50 to 1:10. We also then have a virtual panel. It's hosted through a variety of different offices. It's kind of a joint effort. It's hosted through DISC, the President's Office, Arts and Architecture, the School of Film and Photo. Essentially, the movie Hail Mary was filmed at different locations across Montana. It has an all-black lead cast, which is really cool. And so all of those different offices put together a panel to discuss the film. And that's going to be on Saturday, the 27th at 6 p.m. You do have to register in advance, so you can go to the MSU calendar. You can go to multiple pages for like Arts and Architecture, School of Film and Photo, and you can register at any of those links that they have posted there too. What else is happening on campus, Tristan?
Oh, I was going to add to that. And
yeah.
I also have my own. Because if you register, even if you don't go, you still have access to the movie. The director, Nami Kanega, he graduated last spring from the writing department as a grad student.
Nice.
So some people who were freshmen last year might have had him as their 101 professor.
Oh, that's cool. Does anyone? Well, I guess any sophomores? No. Sound familiar? Really neat opportunity. Check it out. Yeah.
If you guys like being in plays, are interested in acting, are theater geeks, we're having open auditions for the 4 plays we'll be putting on for theater production on Friday from 5 to 7 in the Black Box Theater. For those of you who don't know where that's at, that's over on the corner of 11th and Grand, right by basically like if you're heading to Hedges, it's like right there. And it'll be in the Black Box as well as on Monday from 5 to 7. So feel free to go check it out.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Theater. Yeah, Taylor?
There's some sophomore surge activities. Like next Wednesday, we're going to go walk downtown.
Sophomore surge activities. Is anyone a sophomore surge mentor in here? I was going to say, I feel like we have a few. Do you want to talk about any of those?
Do you want to? I'm the boss person, so I'll do it. Sophomore surge, so essentially what happens is after orientation, once freshmen are in their freshman seminar, they get a sophomore surge mentor in that class. So we're kind of like their orientation leaders for their first year of college.
Yeah, and so they're hosting a variety of different activities, one of which is walking downtown. So kind of a neat way to build community on campus, for sure.
I have a question about graduation deadline.
Yeah.
I've started it. What happens if it's not my fault that someone hasn't put part of it in my agreements because they don't know how to reply to it?
It's not hard. You don't have to worry about it. Sorry, I was just speaking for the registrar's office.
It's been like stressing me out. Like
No, the registrar's office wants you to get your degree no matter what. So the deadline is a priority. But don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Tristan?
Just on the same vein as sophomore surge, next Sunday on March 7th, we'll be having a little midterms with mentors from 8 to 11. So if you guys are interested in that, swing by the sophomore surge office, get free food, and then join us.
Wow.
And then
Say that again?
are midterms like happening the next week?
Yeah, I was gonna say, depending on what like area of study you're in, you might have more midterms than others. But yeah, it's like almost halfway through the semester right now, which is wild, guys, right?
Next week is actually the
8-week mark next week. So there's your official midterm. Yeah,
And then on the same vein of sophomore search for the freshman year, where the OHA is partnering with Search to do a cooking class on the 9th. So at 3 p.m. you can come cook an egg omelet in a mug and some energy bites with me at 3 p.m. on WebEx.
egg in a mug. Way to sell it. Okay. Yeah, Tristan.
Sorry, on the same thing as OHA, they have movie nights apparently every Thursday. And you basically sign up for getting on their Instagram and then sign up for the movie, and they'll give you a free goodie bag of food.
It's true. Holly did it, and she came back from the procrastinator with all kinds of snacks, popcorn, free stuff.
It's super sweet. They put like this fancy little nose flavor in it. I never got.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at it today because I had a meeting there, and it was a packed bag.
It's well worth your time and energy.
It's a movie night at through the Office of Health Advancement. I can't remember what the movie was because he just told me, but
If you go to,
breaking gender stereotypes and norms, I want to say.
yeah, it's the Shucking film series. If you're curious, if you go back a few agenda slides, I mentioned it in class, so that's probably the best link to follow up at.
and if you guys are interested in that, I have the QR codes.
QR code. It is, it's true. Okay, shout outs. Anybody got a shout out? Orange.
Shout out to Tristan for having so much.
Shout out Tristan for being so involved and sharing it with the group. Yeah, Em?
Shout out to Alex, because that's our return.
Nice, Alex. Hit it.
Shout out Jamie, because she let me wear her jacket on the way back to class.
What a friend. Yes. Anything else? Okay, at this time, I'm gonna turn it over. We have Erica here from the College of Letters and Science, and she can kind of introduce herself and then tell you a little bit more about LNS. Please ask questions, be engaged. This is a presentation we have a little bit of a longer time slot just because there's so much to cover for LNS. So please make sure that you're taking notes. Ask Erica. There you go.
Sarah. Clicker.
There isn't, but if you just
Oh,
hit
here
the, yeah, there you go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Dungan. I'm the advising coordinator for the College of Letters and Science. Thank you for inviting me to come here. And I want to start by thanking you all. I've worked with you guys for about 6 years now for orientation, and I can say that you're the most important element of orientation. Students need knowledgeable peers when they come here, and they especially need it now. So thank you so much. My son's a freshman. He actually went to a different school. Won't talk about that. But I know it's incredibly important. You know, it's been important for him to have that mentor like you. So thank you for all your work on this. So what I'd like to do today is give an overview of the College of Letters and Science. Our college is academically diverse. There are so many different majors in our college. So we'll take a little bit of time looking at all of those and kind of thinking through why they're all together, right? There is a reason that we have so many different diverse departments in our college. I'd also like to talk a little bit about some of the core suggestions that we have, but these are, you know, kind of vague, right? Because it all depends on the major. But we'll talk a little bit about some things you can think about, how we talk about core in our college. I'm also going to show you where all of our departments are, because again, we're all over campus. And I'd also like to hear from you, because I really don't know what you need to know. And so please come and have questions, tell me to add things or move on if it's taking too long. And just a little bit about myself. Like I said, I'm the advising coordinator for the college. And I've worked at MSU for just about 20 years now. I was also an alum. I studied French and art history here at MSU, and it's my hometown. So go Bobcats. It's a great place. I never left. So. Oops, let me get that. Okay. So here's my contact information. The main thing I do as the advising coordinator is that I direct the College of Letters and Science advising office. We're located in Wilson Hall, 1-106. You're welcome to stop by. We're open 8 to 5. There's always somebody there. You can also contact me through my email, through my phone if you have any follow-up questions, or also if you're in the college. How many here are in Letters and Science? 8. Wonderful. I think some of you are familiar faces. I've met with you before. Wonderful. All right. So the way that we advise in the College of Letters and Science is a collaborative process. The students work primarily with my office or other first-year advisors for their first year to learn about processes, procedures, learn about their curriculum, right? And what is required of them, particularly in their major, but also what kind of core we suggest. We help them connect with resources. We help them find student support when they need it, and also, how to interact with faculty. Sometimes they can be a little intimidated to talk with faculty. So we're there as kind of a one-stop shop. Also, if people, even in their sophomore, junior, and senior year are really desperate to find somebody, right? Like they need an ad drop form signed, things like that. We're also there to help people with kind of crises. Like, I need this done now. I need some help. So we're there for a number of different reasons. After their first year, students in our college work with the faculty advisor. And so they're assigned faculty in their department to help them learn about their career interests, how they want to apply their major, look at the upper division courses that might be best suited for them, and also help them think about research opportunities, internships. So again, kind of professional mentor. So it's a collaboration. We go back and forth all the time though. They'll send students our way when they have questions that we can answer. We send them to faculty. So again, it's a collaborative process. But students do have, usually work with my office for the first year. The people that are advising in the first year are Liz Donald. Liz Donald is our natural sciences advisor. Her contact information is up there. And again, there's 3 of us in the advising center. Liz helps people in primarily ecology and earth sciences. She's their assigned advisor. She's also the support advisor for physics and math. So she's there to help, and there's also the faculty as well. There's my information again. For orientation, I advise in the humanities. So I advise for American Studies, English, history, modern languages, and philosophy. And then we have a brand new person. He's not even on campus quite yet, so you're the first people to find out. Our new social sciences advisor is named Jeffrey Nelson. That will be his phone number. He doesn't have an email yet. But he will do the orientation advising for students in anthropology, economics, political science, psychology, and sociology. So again, the bulk of the students you'll be working with will be advised by the 3 of us. We also have some faculty advising in other departments. So Steve Holmgren, Dr. Steve Holmgren is a fabulous advisor. He works with chemistry students. We have a physics faculty member who works with the physics students coming in. And then we also have a liberal studies advisor as well, who's in transition here, filling that position. All right, so the College of Letters and Science is the largest college here on campus in terms of student numbers and also the majors that are offered. We have 13, it's actually 14, but for our purposes, we're counting 13 because at orientation, agriculture takes all the micro students. Microbiology and immunology is actually a shared department, but for our purposes today, for orientation, they're all going to be advised through agriculture, so that makes sense. So we have 13 credits and 5 interdisciplinary programs. And they encompass the kind of traditional liberal arts areas of the natural sciences, math, humanities, and social sciences. So do any of you know what liberal arts means? What do you think of when you hear liberal
just like a general foundational knowledge. So it's like you like give a diverse understanding of like the world and everything that goes with it.
Right? So I'm just going to repeat some of that, right? A diverse understanding of the world. So a lot of different disciplines coming together. Wonderful. Foundational knowledge. So kind of the kind of information that you can use in a lot of different applications. So you will study political science, maybe because you want to become a political scientist. You might want to go into grad school and then go on to be a political scientist. You might be studying that because you want to run a nonprofit. You might be studying it because you want to go into HR. So there's a lot of different applications for our majors. This is a little different from some of the other colleges on campus. So for example, if you're in nursing, it's because you need the credentials to be a nurse, right? So that's the application. Liberal arts is, like you say, broad foundational knowledge that can be applied in a lot of different ways. Wonderful. What else do you think of when you hear liberal arts? Right, yeah, and it's certainly used a lot to me to refer to the humanities. Wonderful. Right? Yeah.
I think of core 2.0, like what we have to talk about a lot. I give school freshmen, like, why do we take core? It's like, well, we're in the liberal arts school. It's like, well, what's the arts? And that's what Chris said.
Fabulous. And actually, that leads me to my next point, which is our college offers the foundational coursework for a lot of majors, and it offers the core. A lot of the core is offered through our college, because again, that's the level of arts. Wonderful. So that's why all of these departments are in the letters and science. There's a kind of reason behind it. It's not just this kind of conglomeration of everything left. It's because these are all the fields that are seeking to have students have a diverse idea of the world, how ideas connect, you know, in the sciences and the humanities and the social sciences. And again, a strong foundational knowledge. Strong critical thinking skills, strong writing skills. Okay. So here's a list of the 13 departments that your students will be in for orientation. Again, I've left off micro and immunology. College of Liberal Letters and Science includes economics. This is a department that's also shared with agriculture, that our econ students are in our college. Chemistry and biochemistry, earth sciences, ecology, which is our largest department. Ecology has 500 students alone. English, history and philosophy, mathematical sciences, modern languages and literature, Native American studies, physics, political science, psychology, sociology, and anthropology. And psychology is another one of our enormous departments. There's about 400 students in psychology. Yeah.
Well, I've had this many times, but I still don't really answer why is CPN not anymore in letters?
It was merged with microbiology and immunology because of similar fields, right? They're biomedical fields. So it makes sense to have them housed in one area.
But we're technically shared still, right?
Yes, they're technically shared, but it gets, and some micro students are letters and science. Some, the pre-vet are agriculture, pre-med is letters and science, but over years of doing the orientation, we've kind of said, okay, you know what, it's going to be a lot easier if one college does all the advising. Yeah.
If you're someone's like current advisor for like what's the psychology or are they just gonna get passed out?
So there, yes, all the students who Katie used to advise, I've been working with for the last couple of months, and then Jeffrey will take over.
Jeffrey's so new, he hasn't even started yet.
Yes.
So, very excited. And in addition to our departments, we also have interdisciplinary programs that
have faculty from multiple departments. And students are looking at, again, different ways to look at a problem, different ways to bring majors together. Those are American Studies, Asian Studies, Latin American and Latino Studies, Liberal Studies, Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies. Asian Studies and Latin American and Latino Studies are more or less housed in modern languages, so they're officially separate, but just so you know, they're administered through modern languages. The other interdisciplinary programs are housed in kind of departments. So American Studies is a program that has its own office. Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies is a minor that's administered through a lot of different faculty here on campus.
So I don't feel the most comfortable asking that question, but I should. What does interdisciplinary programs like mean? Could you break that down for me?
Great, thank you. So useful a lot.
Yeah.
Well, anybody want to take a stab at that question? What does interdisciplinary mean?
So interdisciplinary means that like it's shared between different departments on campus. So like the one I can think of would be like Latin American Studies is probably tied with modern languages also.
So it's two different departments that are working together inside of one college? Sometimes more, but it's like all inside of one college. We're not going into a different college to get their departments involved. We're still in college of letters and science.
I'm trying to think if any of them actually go outside of the college. There might be some faculty in Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies that go outside of our college, actually. Yeah.
An example would be like the honors course offers an interdisciplinary degree where you could like literally do depending on what you want.
But mostly it's just different departments inside of a college for the interdisciplinary program.
Faculty from different areas
From
of
different-
study.
Okay, that's better.
And also just thinking more loosely about, it's just approaching an idea from many different angles. So you might look at the microbiology aspect of something, and also look at the sociological aspect of it, and draw all of those together. So students can also look at things interdisciplinarily without having multiple majors, but they might be doing research that brings things together. So the American Studies is a major. Asian Studies is Latin American, Latino Studies, Liberal Studies. Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies is a minor. It'd be great if it were a major. It'd be, a lot of people are working on that.
I guess like in the same vein, I'm trying to think of what it's called, but it's almost like the build your own major in a way, where it's like you could combine the three majors. Is that also housed in this area?
So we have Liberal Studies, which is a perfect example of a liberal studies degree, right? A liberal arts. It brings together mathematics, humanities, social sciences all together. In terms of building your own degree, that's primarily housed in the Honors College, which is, does anybody do that? Have that major? So they have a true interdisciplinary degree where you actually make your own major and combine I think it's three different fields. Thank you.
The honors is coming in on Tuesday, so you can ask him.
Oh, I know, I'm not.
And there's also interdisciplinary areas of different fields, right? So computer science has a really cool interdisciplinary program as well. All right, here's a really ugly slide. Now we get into all of the different majors we have. So I've said we have 13 different programs, or 13 different departments. We have 5 different interdisciplinary programs. We have 45 different majors. So here's a list of the natural sciences. So what I usually suggest is try and think of them in those 4 major categories, right? Natural sciences, math, humanities, and social sciences is kind of a great way to start organizing it. So if we look at natural sciences, biological sciences, the ecology department. This is, like I say, our largest department. One of our most popular majors is the fish and wildlife ecology management major. Anybody here? Okay. Also conservation biology, ecology, organismal biology, and biology teaching. A lot of students who are interested in working for the Forest Service, for working in the parks, really like these majors. People who are interested in advocating for the environment are really interested in these majors. Biology teaching is obviously a very specific application. Chemistry and biochemistry, we have biochemistry pre-med, chemistry professional, and chemistry teaching. A lot of our pre-med students come out of chemistry.
So if somebody wanted to be a teacher, would they go to the College of Education, or would they be here with a teaching certification?
Great question. So it depends on what they want to teach. And thankfully, education is coming next.
Yeah.
So primary and secondary education is housed there. They have social science broad field, for example. If there's a specific teaching area like chemistry, it's housed in our college, and advised out of our college. English teaching, biology teaching, those are all housed in our college and advised out of our college.
Okay.
We work with education advising very carefully though. So for example, I advise for English teaching, but half the time I say, okay, now please go over and talk with Cindy and David.
Okay. Thank you. So then, with the teaching aspect, would this still be for like K through 12?
So these are all, biology and chemistry are for secondary. Wonderful. Earth Sciences has geography, geology, GIS planning, paleontology, and snow science. Snow science, paleontology are obviously really popular for students to learn about. It's, we're one of the rare areas that offer those majors, particularly as undergraduate majors. Geology, paleontology, and snow science have the most in common in terms of curriculum. Both of them require high-level math, so calculus, and they also require physics. And then we have the physics majors. Physics professional, interdisciplinary, and physics teaching. So again, if you want to teach physics in high school, that's what you would do. Great. Mathematical science, we have options in applied mathematics, mathematics teaching, and statistics. Another very ugly slide, the humanities, which is my area. As I said, I actually study French and art history, so I won't miss it. The humanities include American Studies. Does anybody know what American Studies is? Or any American Studies majors here? It's a really cool major. It brings together literature, arts, history, political science, Native American studies, the arts, anything related to American studies, anything that tells you what it means to be an American, what it's like to live here. So it's a wonderful interdisciplinary major that you can also kind of structure a lot of what you do. So for example, if you're really interested in American music, this is one way you could do that. You could, focus in on American music. Great. Asian studies, English with options in literature, writing, teaching, history with options in history, science, environment, technology, and society, and teaching. So history is more or less what you'd expect, right? You take courses in world history, European history, and American history. And you study a language, foreign language. For science, environment, technology, and society, that's a really wonderful, also kind of unique degree here at MSU. That looks at the history of, it puts science into historical context. And so you'll take some science courses in addition to a language and new history courses. Latin American and Latino studies, which again is housed in modern languages. Liberal studies, which includes environmental studies, global and multicultural studies, quaternity. Modern languages and literature, which has options in French, German, Hispanic studies, and then teaching options in all of those as well. And philosophy. Any philosophy majors? And then finally, the social sciences. Economics, anthropology, sociology, which includes includes sociology and criminology. Most students choose criminology, although there's not a whole lot of difference, but most students are here to study criminology. Political science and psychology. Now these majors, as with the majors in humanities, are designed to include a lot of exploration. So these are majors that are designed to allow the students to select a minor, sometimes even a double major. So again, they're looking for you to think beyond, sociology, and also maybe think about history or women, gender, and sexuality studies, things like that. Which means that there aren't that many major requirements compared to other degrees. So these tend to be in the 40s for major requirements, and there's a reason behind that. Again, it's so that students can do a minor or a double major. Now, most of our departments offer minors in their areas. So, for example, sociology minor, political science minor, etc. And then we also have minors that, again, cross disciplines. So they're interdisciplinary. We have China studies, genetics, global health, Japan studies, museum studies, Native American studies, sustainability, water resources, women's gender and sexuality studies. So again, these are minors that aren't housed in one department because they have faculty from across campus. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about how we advise for core in our college. And again, you already know a lot about core, so I think I'm necessarily not going to go to core. But we do talk about it in kind of specific ways. For the US core, students can take whatever, right? I mean, technically they can take whatever US core they want. But that kind of choice is sometimes overwhelming for students. So we tend to suggest CLS 101 US, the Knowledge and Community course. Again, it's not required, but it is offered by our college, so there are faculty in our college teaching it. So frequently we'll suggest this one. One thing to bear in mind when we get to orientation, one of the things I see the most, students running into registration errors because they're a freshman who's brought in a ton of AP or a ton of dual enrollment, so they don't look like a freshman. So they can't get into this class, but that's why. It's simply because they have all of these credits coming in. We would like it if you please suggest that they take this one, not the 201. 201 is designed for transfer students. Text and critics is the one that course honor students are required to take. We have an LS 101 US, that's the Interdisciplinary Ways of Knowledge. This is offered through liberal studies. Again, the US and our US class offered through our college. And then COMEX 111 US. What I typically do when I'm advising students is ask them, I talk a little bit about the different format and say, would you rather do public speaking or a seminar course? And we kind of talk through that way. For writing 101W, the majors in the humanities, it's preferable if they can take both the US core and Lit 101 in the first semester. Yeah, not required, but if possible, we try and get them into both because these are majors that require a lot of writing, so it's best to get them writing. Majors in the natural and mathematical sciences, we typically say take either one. Take a US core or 101, and then you'll do the next one in the spring. Math is varies depending on the major. So we have all the majors of the humanities, some of the social sciences require any Q, any math. Typically, they'll take math 1 and 5Q. Philosophy students have their own Q core, it's the logic class. Stat 216Q is required for anthropology, earth sciences, geography, liberal studies, the environmental studies option, and sociology. These maths are for our natural sciences, the other side of the house. So math 151Q is what's kind of the ideal starting point for GIS planning. Then math 161Q is for those who are in ecology, in environmental chemistries, and in economics. And then math 171Q is the one required for chemistry, earth sciences, geology, paleontology, smell science, math, of course, and physics. And then the other course suggestions that we have, it varies completely depending on your major. Obviously, if they are in the humanities, they don't take the humanities, things like that. And then one thing that it's good to explain to students early on is that the students in the natural and mathematical sciences don't need to worry about INCS. They're going to fulfill it through committed substitutions. All right, and last, I just wanted to quickly show you where all of our departments are located, so where the students are. A lot of you know this, so a lot of you are in these departments, but just to go through where all we are on campus. So Bernard Hall, that's where our physics department is, their classrooms and research facilities. James Hall is where chemistry, biochemistry, biology, earth sciences, and physics instructional labs are. That's where the Department of Math or Modern Sciences is located. Or sorry, Modern Languages is located. Lewis Hall is where the ecology department is. It's also where micro is. Now Johnson Hall.
Does anyone know why Lewis Hall is named Lewis Hall?
Because Clark from Lewis and Clark came from them,
And
Lewis was a botanist.
he was a botanist. That's why ecology's in there. It's like he's a tour guide or something.
Leon Johnson Hall is where American Studies is located. Does anybody know American? Have you ever been there? It's a brand new office. It's also where our Ivan Doig Center is. Traphagen Hall is where you'll find earth sciences and psychology. Wilson Hall is where you'll find the bulk of everything left, right? So sociology and anthropology, political science, history and philosophy, English and American Studies, math, the CLS Dean's office, and also liberal studies. A couple more buildings that are associated with our colleges. Cool now, chemistry and biochemistry buildings. It's now early to tell students about all the research opportunities here on campus. It's required of all of our students, obviously, but it's wonderful for them to start talking to faculty, especially if in their sciences. Tell them, even as a freshman, talk to your faculty, find out what they're researching. All faculty have research labs that they can work in. And just to give you a very small little snippet of the labs in our college, but some of our faculty are working on. Here's a list of about 1/10 of what we have in our college. Great. What kind of questions do you have?
So I know that the freshmen don't grow it too much, but I know a lot of freshmen don't they want minors. How do, like, when they find the minor, right? How would they, like, find their advisors? I declared mine LS science and my advisor. Mine great, but it's harder to, like, find them if you're minor, but you're listening.
Right. Typically, you'll just go to the department. Then the front office can help you. They'll certify minors out of the front office. So if it's a psych minor, just go to the psych office. Department head can help you. Or we're also advisors for minors as well. So anything in our office.
It's one of the interdisciplinary minors, they go to your office first.
It depends. WGSS, I advise for that. So please come there. And then the Asian studies is out of modern languages. Latino studies is out of modern languages. Liberal studies has its own department, so they can advise there. So I'd say typically go to the department or come to us. So probably.
Why does the trap taking have big chemistry on the front
Oh, does anyone else know? Hallie,
Because the professor that was named after was
Okay, so I wanted to make it out.
and it was being built during World War I, and it was intended to be the chemistry building, right? But then they never finished it, which is ultimately why they had 8 windows on one side and 4 on the other. Patched it up.
I didn't hear that first part.
Yeah, and then they patched it up, and basically all the men and construction and all of that went towards the war effort. They never actually had chemistry class.
That was a very fun fact.
There you go. You guys are giving campus tours, keep in mind, so you can whip that one out.
For paleontology, is it, do you guys still work for the you or Rockies like I speak to them together frequently, or is it not as close as you have to like kind of figure out their own?
I would say it's both, right? You'd work with Dr. Furikio to help you kind of get introduced there. And also go ahead and go to the Museum of the Rockies as well. Typically, I would say connect first with the faculty.
Anything else? Awesome. If we could give Erica a nice round of applause. I was gonna say I could hear your little footsteps out there. I knew you were here.
We are here.
All right. Where you going?
I mean, I think it worked.
Yeah, I have this and I also have one. And the best way is if you she did. Yeah, why not? If you All right, team. We're moving on to our second college of the day, Education, Health, and Human Development. We have two folks here because as in the title, you can kind of tell there's almost two distinct parts to this college. So I'll let Cindy and Sarah introduce themselves. And then again, take notes, ask questions, and then we'll wrap up when they're done.
Hi, everyone. I guess it is projecting, isn't it? Awesome. Sarah was saying we should be doing like a tap dance or something. Yeah, with that, bring you a little bit of excitement to the day. Again, Shannon said I'm Cindy Melville, and then I'm going to start. I'm on the education side. Sarah Heller will share about information on the health and human development side of the college. What we've done on the box is include a PowerPoint that was set up for it was MSU Fridays, orientation by our assistant dean. So it does have information on there, but you're also going to see that we created just a one-sheet handout for each of our departments, or I guess yours goes a little bit.
Mine's like 8 pages, but don't panic.
So what we don't know is if you're able to just go to one sheet and it's all there versus going through a series of slides, especially if you're meeting with a student, it feels a lot easier to just have one stop kind of shop and being able to have all the information there. I'm also in a minute going to show you our website because to me, at least from what we've heard, our website gives you the same information overall. If you want to just pull up my sheet. And to me, the preference is if you're meeting with a student, I'd love for you to pull up our website because it's going to, again, give them the links to every single thing they're going to need to know. So I'll just start with a handout and then I'll jump to our website just to kind of show you. Again, I'm Cindy Melville. David Reese is the other advisor in our Education Advising Center. There's two of us. We're in Reed Hall. Our contact information is on the sheet and the room number. Just a couple side notes. The cool thing about education, oops, that's me. Forgot I got my microphone on. The cool thing about the education program at Montana State, number one, we're the flagship program, largest program in the state of Montana. A couple things that really stand out are, number one, that they start their education classes right away. Number two, that they're getting a significant amount of field experience, which of course, as you can imagine, is the heart of the program. It starts early and often, so right at the get-go. As a freshman, they're getting out working with you. And it's going to build as they go through to their senior year, which ends up in student teaching, as you probably could imagine, which is the final internship component of the program. We figured out they have at least 800 hours for an elementary ed major with their field experience and 600 for a secondary ed. The only reason that's different is the secondary ed majors have more content that needs to be fulfilled, so they don't get out to the schools as many hours. A key component is GPA requirements that is different from their peers across campus. They need a C or above in all their courses for their major, teaching minors. If they're taking an elective credit, which we always tell them, just talk to us. But basically think you've got to have that C or above. If they get a C minus, which is normally a passing class for most of their peers, it does not cut it for their major or minus. The other admission piece for a student is a 2.75 GPA. So if you just think, and I don't know that you're going to get into this detail, so I'll go through that fast. They just need 2.7 GPAs, 2.75 GPA. All right, so on the handout, if you click on the link, Elementary Ed K-8, that's going to show those students who are looking at getting a degree to teach kindergarten through 8th grade. And again, we just link you right to the catalog. It's going to show all the classes that they need, but probably in your circumstance, you're just going to need to worry, of course, about that first year or that first semester about what they should be taking. The reason I did not put we have like 17 teaching majors and 16, 15 teaching minors. So I didn't do a separate one for every single one of them on a sheet for you. I think, again, if you go to the catalog and you're able to just look at the catalog to see what should they be taking in their first year. So those are the classes that we're going to say, if you're meeting with a student who has not yet registered, this is a great guideline. The good news is for a lot of our students, it's very flexible. They're able to take a lot of different classes, but we're going to ask you to just refer to the catalog. If you want to write down 2 education classes that the students are absolutely going to be looking at taking, it's EDU 101, which is a US seminar class, and it's listed right at the top, teaching and learning. And the other class will be educational psychology. And you're going to see it listed as EDU 222 or EDU 223. The reason we have 2 of them is we typically recommend the 222 for the elementary ed major and the P3 major, which Sarah will be talking about. And then the secondary ed majors, the 223. And the reason is they focus more on adolescent brain development. So that's kind of just a side note, a note on what they should be looking at taking in elementary education. Sarah will talk about the early childhood education, P3, and that's where I think it can get a little confusing, is there are some teaching majors that are primarily advised through our department, and then some that are through other departments across campus, which I'm going to show you on our website. All right, and then secondary education, we offer a multitude of majors in 5, 12, and K-12 curriculum. Here is a great link for you to kind of get an idea of the major in secondary education, general science Broadfield, and social studies Broadfield. It says, students enrolled in those 2 majors are advised primarily by me and David. So if they have any questions, they're going to come to us. The other host of majors are going to be primarily advised in that specific department. So you just met with Erica. She has several under her purview. And then there will be, like with Sarah, health enhancement, family consumer science, and the P3, which isn't on this slide because it's a younger grade level. The others will just be directed to that other department. Clearly, we are their, clearly we're their secondary advisor, so that if they have questions about education, obviously it's not a big deal if they get sent to us first. We're happy to meet with them and then direct them to the right place. So if that's easier for you to just say, go see Cindy and David, we're happy to let them know where to go. Teaching majors, as I said, are either K-12, so they are covering everywhere from kindergarten through 12th grade. Others are just specifically 5th grade to 12th grade. And then the teaching minors are also listed there. Again, the nice thing is if you click on them, they go right to the catalog. The only thing I'll mention with this, which again, you probably will not get into, but just a side note, a teaching major or a non-teaching major could not add a teaching minor. They have to have declared a teachable major in order to grab a teaching minor. Okay, let me look at my notes. All right. If you are meeting with a student, I just want, before I jump to our a couple other notes. If you're meeting with a student who's in a different major and they just indicate to you, I'm kind of thinking about education, you could recommend taking EDU 101 US if they're kind of on the fence and thinking about it, because that will meet their US core. Likewise, the educational psychology class would meet an IS. If they are an honor student, they do not need to take that US core. We will count texts and critics. So if you have a question about that, just send it to us. Recommended volunteer work opportunities. Again, these are some things that just outside we recommend our students to get involved in. And I don't know if this is this something that you need to hear about? I don't know if they're going to be really addressing this.
I mean, I think it's just nice to know what additional opportunities.
Okay. Just recommended work volunteer opportunities. Obviously, we tell students that they're either currently in the major or they're thinking about it. These are ways to get involved in the community. Big Brother's Big Sister, being a CAP mentor. And what that is getting out to the schools 1 hour a week to work with kids. America Reads, America Counts. How many of you are familiar with that program? It's actually a paid, either a volunteer or a paid position where students can help tutor students in reading. They're struggling with reading typically or math, and they can get paid or it can be a volunteer opportunity. Finally, the education club that we have is called Aspiring Educators. They basically meet once a month and just look at current trends, bring in, maybe some first-year teachers. What is it like? Bring in some administrators in the Valley. Talk about educational issues, challenges, rewards. And then the other center, just so you're aware of it, is in Reed Hall, Center for Bilingual and Multicultural Education. And because our students are heavily involved with learning Indian education for all, some really get great resources up there in their office. I love the final note, again, back to just reminder, common coursework for that first year is just to direct them to that catalog. And then Sarah, will you mind just go to our website and whatever you feel is better in the way that you're working with students, again, I would say feel free to use that handout, or if you go to just Education Advising Center, you'll go right to our website. And even if you say Education Advising, we're the first link. And if you go to the right below the pictures, you're going to see pretty much all the information I gave you. The setting up an appointment, if you click on that, our contact information is right there, both David and mine. If you go back, undergraduate curriculum, finding their teaching majors and minors, you could just direct a student right to this, and it's going to have the same first link, teaching majors, teaching minors, elementary ed, P3, they are all there. I think that's all you pretty much would need to know. I mean, work volunteer opportunities ties into the same thing about getting involved, as well as gonna say, student organizations just goes to our education, so. All right. Any questions for me before we jump to Sarah? Yes.
I don't know if this is, or maybe both, but the daycare and like the space you have on campus, are those like, those jobs prioritized for those students, or are they the only students that really apply, so?
I think it's open to all. I mean, it's really, we get a lot of our students, which is exactly your point. They do get jobs there, but I think it's open to any student, right?
Yeah, it's our lab space for early childhood students. So a lot of them are, can you all hear me? So a lot of our students are doing hours there for, their classroom requirements and all that. Sorry, we're like on the computer way too much, so to actually see people in person, is quite fun for us now. But yeah, there's the Child Development Center and then also the ASMSU daycare that's over by Family and Grad Housing. We use those spaces for, in-class experiences for the early childhood option.
Yeah.
So is the P3 option only for like under kindergarten?
So it's preschool, kindergarten, first, second, third. Yep, so P3 is preschool through third grade. So they're able to teach, students in P3 are able to teach preschool, but then they max out at third grade. So a lot of students, well, what's better, elementary education, in K8 or P3? Really depends on your focus. If you really have your heart set on being a kindergarten teacher, P3 is probably the way to go because that's your window of experience and expertise. If you are K8, yes, you can still teach kindergarten, but if a school needs you to teach fourth grade math or fifth grade science, you're probably gonna get pulled that direction.
Is the American Days, is that like a program that gives free books to like kids?
No, it's actually, there's a program through the Bozeman community, the schools, they give a book to all incoming kindergartners, which is really cool if you've seen it in the paper.
I used to work at the YMCA in Billings, and there's a little business thing that would help every Wednesday and give books.
Cool. I don't know if the YMCA here does that, but it's a, great idea.
It was cute. They would all take out books.
And know that as your question about the daycare, America Reads, America Counts is for any student. If you have a desire to work with kids and give your skills, if you're strong in math and literacy, they will definitely work with you. Anything else you can think of? All right, we'll switch to Sarah.
Okay, so my name is Sarah Heller. I'm one of the 3 academic advisors for the Department of Health and Human Development. So myself, Austin Holliday, and Lynn McCann are the 3 advisors. And within our department, we advise the majority of students. So there's a couple majors that switch advisors at the junior or senior level, and then one option that they totally meet with faculty all the way through. But by and large, we are the ones meeting with all of our students.
Do you want the PowerPoint up or do you want the?
Which one do you want? Do you want your handout?
Let's do the PowerPoint first.
Oh, sorry.
The majors. We have 8 majors and 14 options, and so it gets to be like this running checklist of did we cover everything? So our office is located over in the Jose's Fitness Center until May, and then we are moving over to Herrick Hall. The gym will be shut down for renovations and we will be permanently moved over to Herrick. So for students that are coming to campus, for boot camp, if they need to find us, we'll be over in Herrick. And then, why can't I go to my full screen? Oh, there we go, I see it, sorry.
if you want me to,
Yeah, if you wanna do the slide of our major.
Yeah.
there we go.
And if you wanna like tab over to.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Just so you know, on this hand, if you like PowerPoint going through this lists again, all of the, majors, and then again, the teaching minors. So you have that.
Okay, so this is our list of majors, and we are pretty diverse as far as what we offer and the classes that students take, which is why my handout for you all is like 8 pages, because the requirements vary by every single major. So, and the idea behind health and human development is that students are interested in enriching human well-being in some capacity. That could be physical well-being, it could be social well-being, it could be spiritual well-being, it could be financial well-being. And so within the department, there's majors, minors, and certificates that would accommodate all those different domains. Typically, students coming into our department enjoy working with people, they want to work with people, or they want to help people in some capacity. So typically, if the student's like, I want a helping major, HHD is probably a place to direct them to at least kind of get an idea of what we have. Some of our majors are definitely more math and science based, like food and nutrition, health and human performance. As you're helping students at orientation, the majority of the students in attendance will be health and human performance majors. So they'll be looking at kinesiology or exercise science, which are routes that students can take if they're looking at health professions graduate programs, physical therapy, occupational therapy, medical school, that kind of thing. And then food and nutrition would have dietetics and nutrition science. So obviously those ones, the math is going to be on the right-hand side of the flow chart, college algebra, survey calculus, those types of things. Community health, early childhood, and human development and family science are more of our social science-based majors. So for math requirements, they're definitely just required to take Math 105, or if they're transferring in a math class, from core, that would work too. And then sustainable foods, health enhancement, and hospitality management. The 3 on the bottom are kind of the ones in the middle. So there's some science classes, some more math with those, or different math. With P3 as well as elementary ed, there's a different math sequence for those students as well. So hopefully by the time they get to you with questions, if they've met with us already, they're gonna feel pretty good about where they stand as far as math goes. Hearing Erica talk about core, one kind of piece that we kind of go back and forth on with health and human performance is the university seminar core. So public speaking, the COMEX 111 is technically required in the catalog. We keep it in there because some health professions programs do require public speaking. They don't take the seminars. This seems like it's mostly occupational therapy programs, but when we're meeting with students, we have no idea what prerequisites are going to be for health professions programs in 4 years or 5 years from then. So typically we give them the option, like we can use a seminar to substitute for public speaking, but just know down the road you may need to take a public speaking class if it's required for your graduate program. So that should be it for those. And then minors, you probably won't have to worry too much about. Students aren't declaring them, coming into orientation, but we do have coaching, human development, personal and consumer finance, and then a gerontology certificate. So the certificate is 15 credits versus minors, which are like 20 to 30 credits depending on the minor. Anybody can pick up these minors. We do have a family and consumer science teaching minor as well, but that's one of those where you have to have a teaching major to declare that minor. And I think,
Should we just jump to the, you want to pull up
my 8-page handout. So what I did, similar to Cindy, is another.
If you go to the Word document at the bottom, it's already pulled up. So you should be able to hover over
the,
one.
awesome, you just are so
There you
organized.
go. And then,
So what I did is copy and pasted the first year from the catalog. So we're sending you have the links. I just gave you the first, so like community health. You can see for freshman year, fall, spring, the early childhood, P3 option, fall, spring, child development option. So with 14 different options, there's 14 different, first year plans per student. So this is just for your reference, obviously. We have a website, obviously, too. If you go to HHD Advising from the main homepage, you can see it's where students can make appointments with us, but also at the top has each major, and you can click on it. It'll take you straight to that majors page. You can check out the curriculum. You want me to go there? Sure. These masks make me feel like I'm out of breath. I can't breathe. So yeah, so if you click on any of these 4 major or 8 majors, it'll take you to more information, and then you can click on curriculum to see what's required for those different majors. One of the nice things, like with education, obviously you're getting in-school experience early and often. We have, the majority of our majors have some kind of internship component, whether that's optional or required. So students as juniors and seniors are getting out in the community to get experience into sites that they're interested in potentially going into after graduation. And I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, I feel like a little dumb asking this question, because I'm an exercise science major,
Mhm.
I didn't know that, like, am I wrong in saying that I'm an exercise science major, if technically it's not?
Yes, when you graduate, your bachelor's degree will be in health and human performance.
Okay, so what's, like, why is there?
There's 2 different options. So exercise science and kinesiology are both options, and they're a little different
So why would there just be like 9 majors?
because they still fall under the same major. Because they're similar enough that it's just kind of like,
So do you remember in the College of Business, how you get a bachelor's in business, but there's 4 options?
Oh.
This is similar, where you're getting a bachelor's in health and human performance, but your option is exercise science.
and then just to throw that out, next year we'll be switching the name of the major and the options. Just to keep you on your toes.
It's not kinesiology.
Right.
So are both gonna be kinesiology?
No, exercise science will be an option, and then, so that'll stay the same, and then health and fitness is gonna be the new name for the kinesiology option.
Oh, okay.
But typically, you and everybody else that's in health and human performance say my major is exercise science. We say that, just because it's easier than health and human performance. But technically, yes, the major is health and human performance. Yep, sorry, and then you.
I lost the like exact pronunciation of it, but like gerontology.
Yep.
What does that mean?
So gerontology is the study of aging. So it's for students who are interested in working with older adults, which is a very, like, people in gerontology and people working with older adults, we're in major need of people to do that because Montana especially is an aging state. So we need people to be able to, care for older adults, offer everything, for older adults. And that certificate is all online. The 5 classes are offered online.
So how many majors are like the business major where they have like different not majors underneath it?
So we have 8 majors. So these 8 out here are the majors.
So every one of those has like options inside of it, or
Most of them.
most of them?
Most of them. Community health and health enhancement are the 2 that do not. Those are standalone, that's the major.
So
Early childhood education has the P3 option for teaching, or child development, which is for those who still want to work with students, but not necessarily teach in the classroom. So maybe,
My
social work
goal,
type of- yep.
when I did
Oh, yeah,
early
Shannon was one of
childhood, was going to be a speech pathologist. I didn't do that. But that was my goal in doing early childhood education, because at the time they didn't have the child development class.
And, and it's kind of when you talk to students and they're like, well, I want to do, I want to go to be an occupational therapist. What's the major for that? The nice thing is with a lot of those health professions programs is you really don't need a specific major. So you can tailor your undergrad to what you're interested, like the content you're interested in learning more about, because then you're going to specialize more at the graduate level. So we have a handful of students going into the child development option who have no intention of teaching, which is obviously why they're in that option, but they are interested in working as pediatric OTs. So they're going through getting the foundational background of development from 0 to 8-year-olds, still picking up occupational therapy prerequisites, and then applying to occupational therapy programs. So you can kind of, make some choices that way. Let me go back. I often forget all of our majors.
Which one?
Just the one with all the 8 majors. Food and nutrition has 2 options, dietetics and nutrition science. Health and human performance has exercise science and kinesiology. And
Why does it just come out? Isn't that under, this one? You said there's 2?
yeah, I was just like, oh, sorry. They're all on the website, you just have to look for them. Hospitality management actually has 3 options. So this is one of our newer majors. There's the farm to table, restaurant management option. There's food enterprise, that's really where you are developing food products, using, locally sourced food from Montana. And then the most common one is the lodging and facilities management option. And then the human development and family science option human development and family science major has 2 options. One of them is called human development and family science. The other is FCS teaching for those who want to be family and consumer science teachers in grades 5 through 12. So that's one of the education majors that we work between the departments for that one. Sustainable food systems. So this one confuses us even. So the major itself is sustainable foods and bioenergy systems. We have 1 option under our department. The other 3 options are another College of Agriculture and different departments. So we house the sustainable food systems option under HHD. See what I mean? It's like a checklist. Yeah. Trying to keep track of everything. Yeah, Tom.
So if you, like, let's say, hospitality management, is that in itself a major you do not have to specify an option, or do you have?
You have to specify an option.
You have to.
Yeah, with any of these with options, you have to specify the option.
Is family consumer science like the same class, like?
Yep, exactly. So the FCS teaching major is teaching teachers to do that. So culinary, budgeting, we have a sewing class, everything's actually going on this spring semester. Let's see what else.
And they can get a financial, certificate, right? With that budget piece, which I think is so neat to see that's part of a curriculum now. But then they can go on to get actual certification to help, on an outside job where they wanted to be outside of
Students who
teaching.
are interested in, they like the financial planning, working with people on their budgets, that kind of thing. Yeah, another question.
Where is the Department of Education housed?
Reed
Reed Hall. Where is HHD until May? The fitness center.
Started cleaning out my office already in preparation for move. I think that, no, I think we're good. So you showed the,
Yep, you got one too.
so that one, and then up at the top, you'll see my email, Austin's email, and Lynn's email. So if you are meeting with students and you're like, I have no idea what to tell them, shoot us an email. And then we also have one of the asterisk one up there. Students at HHD also follow the same policy with grades as education. So anybody in HHD has to earn a C or higher in the classes required for their major. So a C- or below would mean they'd have to retake
Okay, class. Can I make one more note too? So if you go back to your notes in education, or just remember this, if you get a student who says they want to be going forward with special education, we do not offer a full major of special education at Montana State. It can get confusing to students. We offer what's called an option, which just gives them a focus area to be able to just get additional coursework. But if they're interested in special ed and you send them to us, we have to have them work with either MSU Billings or like UM Western. So that's just a note to keep in mind if somebody says, well, I'm gonna go into special education. We'll talk them through that. The other one that I would highlight is if you get a student saying to you, I want to teach history. Overall, in many states, the preferred major is not history teaching, even though it's offered here. It's social studies broad field, and that's purely advised under our department. And the reason is just because they're able to teach more than just history. If you think back to your history teachers in high school, they were teaching government, they were teaching psych, sociology, and history. So again, it's not that they can't do that. We just tell them they need to grab another subject area in a teaching minor. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to get hired. And then the other thing I'm just going to note, I mentioned go to the catalog if you're meeting with a student about the 2 education classes to take. I pretty much said EDU 101 and EDU 222, the ed psych. Do want to just note, if you go to the catalog, you're going to see a class, Lifespan Human Development, for the secondary ed majors. That's fine, they can take that. I was just thinking if they really are trying to decide, do I want to do teaching or not, the ed psych is going to give them more teaching and learning than a basic developmental lifespan class. They still are going to need to take it, but they can take it later. So that's just my 2 final notes.
Any last minute questions for these guys? Can we give them a round of applause?
Thank you, everybody, for your role, and we really appreciate your help and what you're doing.
Nice, thank you. Okay, and I will mention that we'll post these on D2L, these handouts and whatnot too, and then also the PowerPoints as well. So those are gonna.
Can I ask,
Yes.
have any of you been orientation leaders before? So what do you tend, I'm just curious, what do you prefer when you get information from all of us? Is it PowerPoints? Is it where do you direct students? What do you use? I'm curious.
I won't speak for them, but this year will be a little bit different since you guys will be helping with online instead of being like physically in the labs with like a handout being able to point to something. So I mean, you guys can speak for yourself, the few of you that have been in the labs, but.
I would say like the most important thing is just your contact information. Like,
What is the?
He says your contact information.
Just say go.
Yes.
I like to work at a switchboard.
Yeah.
Call Erica.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Tristan.
yeah.
Sorry. I like when you guys tend to go over the just all the foundational level classes for your students, just so that we can answer a lot of questions around that.
Mhm. Yeah.
So did you need more detail? Is that helpful to know
Yeah,
what
I
those?
think more detail in that area, just so
Okay.
that we're able to, like, if a student asks us, it's like, oh yeah, like, I think this is what's important about this. Because they might ask like, oh, why am I taking this? Or why this over another? And it's like in a more peer-to-peer aspect rather than, not necessarily top-down, but advisor-peer aspect, advisor-student aspect.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And we will, for you guys, I think I've mentioned this, but we're creating a big old guide. So when you guys help with online orientation, you're gonna have like a common registration air guide. And then you're also basically gonna go through like, student asked about this. Can I handle this? If I can't, who do I contact? And this is how I bump it out. So we're gonna have very like A, B, C, D instructions for you guys to be able to resolve some of the questions and issues too of some of the stuff.
All right, and kind of pertaining to your question, I think we haven't advisors, well, I shouldn't speak for other advisors. I personally have not started working on what our piece of online orientation is gonna look like, but we're gonna cover why those first 5 classes are important. So why is it important you take a math right away? Why is foundation of exercise science important? so that hopefully when they get to you all, they're like, yep, these are, like, whether they remember it or not, like, why they're taking it, at least they know it's important to take.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, thanks for that feedback.
Thank you guys so much.
See you later.
All right. Oh, yes, we'll clap. You get some walkout claps. Okay, very lastly, I just wanted to shout out Gigi, Julia, Jamie. They have submitted some of their in-services. Reminder, you need to accumulate 50 points by the end of the semester. I'm sure some of you have already started on some of it, but you haven't necessarily turned in like any write-ups or recordings or anything like that. So please keep that in mind. This can also double as a lot of your reflections for your groups, right? But you need to turn in 2 separate like write-ups, because ultimately there are different questions that you need to answer for your in-services. So even if you did something with your group, you need to write up an in-service. Yeah, Alex.
Do you want these submitted separately, or like, I've got like one doc going?
Either way. I think Gigi did them all in one document, which was great. You guys turn in multiple files. I get alerted anyway, so I'll see that too. Yeah, great question. Okay, snack pack. I think orange. This is exciting. Everybody ready? This is gonna be good.
Don't even stand up if you haven't had fresh fruit today.
Fresh fruit.
Fresh fruit.
Stay standing if you've eaten fresh fruit.
Does tomato count as a fruit?
Oh my god. All right, and then sit down if you've had chocolate today.
Okay.
Did I leave everything?
Nope, you still have people.
Sit down if you've worn shorts in the last 17 days.
Like outside, or just inside?
Outside in shorts in the last 17 days. Outside.
Okay, you have. Wait, did Trisha just win?
No.
Yes.
All right, Trisha. Okay. Other than that, I don't have anything else for you guys. We are going to be uploading all this stuff. I'm going to get you your Academics 1 outlines back with feedback here next week. On Tuesday, we have like a review. We're coming up with a far better plan than our Jeopardy game last time, so stay tuned. But we're going to do a lot of review because next class on Tuesday, we have a quiz. Okay, so study up. It's about all things core, math placement, colleges, all that good stuff.
What is like the grab and go thing with, President Pizarro?
The President's Dinner,
Yeah.
April 15th.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, April 15th.
April 15th.
Okay, so it's down the line.
Yeah, it's down the line. I'll remind you guys, but I should actually probably post that. I can do that. So we're at the end. They're doing it in chunks. So like I think ASMSU goes first, and then they go to their meeting. Advocates goes after their class, and then we go after our class.
Sorry, Advocates allowed to leave and stuff like that.
No, because you're not leaving for Advocate class. You're here. It's not a Wednesday. It's a Thursday.
Wait, so I go through both?
Are we allowed to leave this class to go get our advocate meal and then come back and then go get the orientation dinner meal as well?
No, we can't double dip meals.
I'm involved in those organizations.
It's the same food. You're just serving yourself a plate.
Take what you get.
Why can't I do it twice?
Oh my gosh, get out. Okay. All right, thank you guys.
Is that your question? Is that your question? Yeah.